everyone else. One, we need to know why, which he speaks in riddles. I don't know if the Kyrie stands understand it. I don't understand it. All I ever hear from them is he has a right to put whatever he wants in his body. Agreed, right? But why? What is the reason that he's taken this stance that is robbing the fans, right? Because I saw the 61-point game. What did he score? 61 or 62? I forget.
60.
It was a flat 60. I've been saying 61 all the time. Anyway, so he scores 60 points. It's a thing of beauty. The way he did it is more amazing than the way he did it is more amazing than the number 60 itself. The efficiency. He didn't do any kind of like crazy moves. It was just fundamentals. It was a clinic, a masterclass on how to play basketball properly and how great this player is. And still, when we don't have him the next day and we lose that game, it would be nice to know I'm standing with Kyrie for these reasons. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what the reasons are. Am I a fool for expecting to know what his reasons are? Is there a justification? Play devil's advocate, Sam.
No, I mean, I can't. I mean, look, he's done everything he can to not really explain it, and I think him not explaining it is basically a microcosm of everything he's about, which is that he doesn't feel like he owes anybody an explanation for it because the decision is so personal that why would he?
Well, no. See, I've heard that before, but for every Net fan, and I'm not one of them. I only had a little 10-game package. And I didn't even go. I either gave them away or because I couldn't go, or I sold them, and not because I was boycotting anything. It's just it really was just a financial decision, to be honest. But for the people who have made the financial decision to go, specifically buying their tickets preseason to see the greatness of that the Nets could be, to see the artistry of Kyrie Irving, it is shocking to me. It is shocking to me that no one feels cheated and no one knows why they feel cheated. It's one of the most miraculous things that I've ever seen, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, I think I couldn't agree more. I think that's really well said. I think that when you view fandom as something where I'm investing time in this and I would hope to get something back, it's kind of like why, for forever Mets fans, when the Wilpons were owning the team, were like, this team doesn't spend money and doesn't compete. Why am I spending money on jerseys or tickets when I know that they don't care about winning in the first place either? And I totally feel that for the Kyrie thing as well. And there's one other point that's a little bit off topic, but I just wanted to get to before we switch to actual basketball, which is, and this is something that I feel really strongly about, and I don't think gets said enough. A lot of people have gone on and said how unfair this is and the Kyrie victim thing and whatnot. And, a lot of these same people, number one, have never once talked about the fact that there are a couple thousand people now who have lost their jobs in New York because of this and have zero livelihood and have to go back to their families with no job because of
and no pension
and no pension because of what they believe in. And then the second thing is, a lot of the people who are saying right now, well, it's such bullshit that he's not playing because things are so much better right now.
Right.
I'm speaking directly to anybody who's listening to this podcast who said that before. A lot of you guys were saying the exact same thing in January when there were just as many deaths as there were in March 2020,
right.
which shows to me that you don't give a shit about Kyrie or people or people's health or humans or whatever stuff that Kyrie says. What this says is that you care about yourself and your own viewership of Nets games. Now, for me personally, I care far more about people getting vaccinated than I do about the Nets. If that makes me like a bad fan, so be it. I think that getting vaccinated is an essential thing to do, and I think that and I actually believe that not only is it something you should do for yourself, it's something you should do for other people, because because almost every study that's been done on this has shown that you're more likely to spread it if you're not vaccinated also. So
Right. And it's
so, and so because of that, I just think that, like, for everyone that's saying that the people like me and Yves who have been speaking about this are anti-Kyrie, I want to say to the other people, well, like, what are you then? Because you sure as hell aren't pro people or pro people's health, because a lot of you guys, and there are some exceptions, don't get me wrong, there are some people who, now that times have changed their stances, and because the numbers are lower, but a lot of you guys thought the mandates were fucking stupid when Omicron was spreading to every single person in New York, and you felt like everyone you knew had it. So don't give me this crap of, well, Sam and Yves have a personal vendetta, but I have the moral high ground. It's complete and utter lunacy.
or they tweet at you, what about the science now? Listen, nobody in Barclays Center is checked for the measles vaccine or the rubella vaccine or the polio vaccine. We're not afraid that a polio outbreak is going to happen. But guess what? In this particular city, you must be vaccinated to go to school.
Yep.
That, like, not just public school, private school too. And I've said this before, it never seems to land. The explanation never seems to land, but it's one that I think is worth repeating, because guess what? An unvaccinated kid can go to any playground, any school playground in New York City and play. An unvaccinated kid can attend any school event, a school basketball game. No one is going to check you for the measles vaccine. No one's going to ever stop you and check you for rubella or polio or any one of these things that we think are old-timey diseases that we got over. The thing you will have to do is, in order to enroll in that school, your parents or you, the parent, has to present for your children their vaccination history, who did it, and when. If not, that child cannot attend the school. And that's the point. What the motivating point is, it's not about the science. Okay? Fine. The mandates are stupid. Yes, they seem fucking silly. It seems more silly to me. Like, it makes more sense to me being extra careful about something that kills 70,000 people in the city.
I know.
Right? Versus
talking about death.
right.
So crazy.
Like, but we still have a zero tolerance policy on getting vaccinated to go to school on children. And that's the thing. It's like, I could say that a million times, and people were like, what does it have to do with the science? Look, there are places that children still die of these old-timey diseases. It's called a third world country. And we don't operate like a third world country in this country. And guess what? These mandates could be forever. They could be, I don't think they will be, but they could be forever. The measles mandate is forever. It hasn't gotten lessened. So for me, it's like, until I hear, and it's my favorite word now, the reason he is taking this stance, why should I believe it's for any reason? Why should I believe it could be equally true that it's for religion, as it's equally true and vague that it could be just because Kyrie is an asshole. Like, you could make either argument, and both sides don't have any proof, and that's why it brings us back to our title, and I'll give us our title hopes. Our title hopes is just to check with you, Sam, just to make sure. If this team doesn't win the title, it's one of the greatest NBA failures of history, right?
You're saying like this year or in the Kyrie KD tenure?
I have a hard time believing you could whiff the first 3 years and come back the same. I don't. They don't really have a choice, but I just don't. I've never seen it in sports. Could you imagine the Miami Heat super team if they didn't do it the second year and they went 3 years straight without doing it? What would have happened?
They were going to trade. There were rumors when they were down in that second year, 3-2 to Indiana. There were already rumors that Bosch was out.
Right, I remember that.
Like, look, like, it's, it's funny because one of I think the thing that's so unfortunate about this season is that we have barely talked about basketball, but and I wouldn't say like, oh, it's our fault because the distractions are so much more fun. We actually don't have another thing to talk about because we actually don't know what the hell is going on the team. Like, I can't, right. like realistically, like
it took 75% of the season to go by for us to find out that Joe Harris wasn't playing. That's a crime, I feel like.
Yeah, like, I mean, honestly, but calling a spade, like me and you, if we wanted to, could say the same exact thing that anyone else could say about yesterday's Dallas game. But at the end of the day, like, their second, third, fourth, fifth, and eighth best guys weren't playing. Like, what? Like, I mean, if you're gonna take a dump on the regular season, sometimes it's gonna do the same thing back to you,
correct.
and it means that you just can't really take that much out of it, which is what's happened, and it's because of how the Nets handled the regular season. It's because of how I think Kyrie and KD don't particularly care that much about the regular season, which all the power to them to a certain extent.
But let's call a spade, right? We culturally, as a fan base, we've bought into this bullshit because all I heard was panic in October. Oh, what? Who cares about the regular season? Guess what? We're damn near out the playoffs.
Yep.
We have to play a team as of right now, and they're surging. By the way, we may not even get them because they're doing so well, but we may get a team that our second best player or first best player in some people's eyes cannot get into the country. Are y'all gonna assassinate President Trudeau now? Like, what are we talking about? We could be eliminated from this thing. And it's because of this mindset that permeated from the team to the fan base that that winning basketball games isn't a practice, isn't a craft that you perfect day by day by day. Can Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving get much better than what they are? Maybe a little bit better, but they're great. We know they're great. It's the everything else. It's if you have no urgency, it's like anything else. If you practice, whatever, I'll turn it on in the postseason. It puts you in the danger of not even making the postseason. Somebody could get hurt, and guess what? We didn't build up enough of a cushion to keep us from getting out of the playoffs. Like, literally, one player could get hurt from the Nets right now, and that might send us on a losing streak because the margins are so thin, and we have so many games coming up that Kyrie doesn't play, and we're only a half game up on the 10th on the 9th seed.
I mean, the message I sent you guys yesterday. Nets have 12 games left. At this moment, Kyrie can play in 3 of them. Even if Mayor Adams changes the mandate for athletes, let's say, a day or two before Mets/Yankees opening day, then Kyrie can only